The more people we bring in, the more money everyone makes. Okay, good. So I'll put these down here as good. So you guys are already like, you're already getting some good stuff going here. Look at this. What, and just not to get in the weeds here and chunk down too much right away, but I will say that it does seem that we might think about structuring this. We could structure it like with the mindset as its own section, or we might take every individual situation and proceed it with mindset and then follow it with tactics.
That sounds really good, because I think every section you have to have, your mindset has to be that I'm gonna be the best at this, right? Whether it's outreach, and then what are the best things to do for outreach? What are best practices? Then it's like, what's my mindset about signage, and what are best practices around that? And what's my mindset about, not just converting a deal, but turning a market into a concierge auctions market. Because what I say to people is, like, I could take Las Vegas, for example. Currently, we haven't done any auctions in Las Vegas in a while. But at one point in time, we were the only ones that did auctions in Las Vegas. And we fell short. We let a competitor in, and now magically they've had like 4 auctions there. So right now, I would argue that Las Vegas it's a market that we've lost to a competitor.
Time to regain that market share.
Correct. And so,
who are our best PSMs that could go and reestablish those relationships for us?
Unfortunately, I was the one that had all those relationships there, and I still do have a lot of relationships there, but I haven't been in the market in quite some time.
That's a perfect example for a leader to use in front of the group. This is what happens when I don't do exactly what I'm training you to do.
Mm-hmm.
That will actually be very powerful for people to see it, and for you to stand up as a leader and say, because I took this other job, I stopped spending time on doing this. Here's what's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who thinks they're ready to take Las Vegas over and has licensure in Nevada?
Which we have. There's a Katie Lawless is the business developer, and then the PSM, a hybrid business developer, is Alex. Now Alex lives there, and Ivana lives there. And between her, Ivana, and I, we know the players. It's just that all of a sudden, they're using a different auction company. They are not necessarily, but we certainly have our chances. Haven't had as many chances lately, and they do.
All right, now, so when we go back to those notes, there were a ton of like tactical things that we dealt with too, like uncovering BD opportunities without interfering with the PSM job. That was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had some subtopics on that one as well. I love these. These are both good ones. Setting up the game plan for an auction. And then if I recall correctly, we had there were 3 things right here that Phil had gone through. What are the property vitals? What are the ways that we can run reserve auctions? That's a separate one, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are the vitals? How do we win reserve auctions? What else was there? Oops. How do we win?
Not sure what we mean by that. How do we win reserve auctions?
When it's a reserve auctions, what needs to be thought about differently?
Mm-hmm.
When it's a reserve auction? And then what was the other one that you guys talked about together? Uncovering BD ops when on assignment. I'm getting better with these keystrokes. I can do all this stuff without the mouse now. It's a lot faster.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like, I didn't know this. Are you a Mac guy or a PC guy?
I'm a Mac.
Like when in Google Chrome, if you hold down Command Option, you can go between your tabs in Chrome
Oh,
in keystrokes without ever having to use your mouse.
that's cool.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Okay, so when we talked about here, local agents. Who has listings, tour opens of similar.
Be right back. I'm gonna grab a water real quick.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Here's what I had. Like, this is the things that you guys talked through about uncovering business development opportunities when on assignment, how to talk to the local agent, touring, finding out who's got similar listings, touring the similar listings and what to say, knowing what are our criteria, what are the active listings that meet our criteria, and how to get those seller referrals. We started with that. What else did you guys talk about? Where are the buyers hanging out? That's such a good, man, that's such a good one. What do you guys, like, where do you find buyers? What do you do? What are the high level things that you do to find buyers in a market?
Yeah, everything's like where you spend your time, right? When you're not at the open house is, are you networking at the local high-end restaurants and bars, getting to know, depends. It's easier on like small markets, like an Aspen or Telluride or something versus a city like Los Angeles, but it's basically like networking with the right people and make sure you're going to the right places to meet people that can introduce you to others. Go places with agents.
What's that?
Like being out with other real estate agents, who might introduce you to their clients or other agents. Like I usually when I'm in market, I'm usually spending a lot of time with real estate agents because I find the ones that I enjoy hanging out with, they become more like a friend. But then we go out and then they might have another friend meet us and they're a real estate agent also, and then that person might know somebody or there's just
Yeah, but
agent.
I was like the art form to that is like, how do you make it feel comfortable and not salesy, and like the fact that you're just trying to meet their friends, how do you make it feel like a natural human relationship, right?
I mean, I let it go naturally, right? So like there's a group of guys I hang out with and
Mario, hang on 2 seconds, okay?
yeah,
This is my daughter's school calling. Hang on real quick.
yeah.
Okay. Just texting Leslie real quick. Just got a voicemail that something is missing from Ryan's perhaps easy care for next year, question mark. Not sure what. Okay, sorry about that. I hate being interrupted, but it was, the kids, something's happening.
Yeah, no, you gotta, I'll give you an example, a real life example.
Okay.
I made friends with this agent in Fort Lauderdale. His name is Jeff. And every time I go into town, I always meet with him and his, his other colleagues like Kara and Victor. They're all real estate agents, but I'll just say, hey, let's meet up for drinks. Let's go wherever. I don't really say bring somebody, but he lives there locally. So as people walk up and they know him, he'll always introduce me and he'll say, oh, this is Mario. And he sells crazy mansions all over the world. And then he'll say what the other person does, like, oh, this guy right here owns two of the biggest restaurants in town or what have you. So he does the intro. I've never done anything. I've never asked. It just happens really naturally. And every time I'm in town, I take them out, I spend money on them, I buy them drinks, I'm very generous to them. So they like me and they introduce me to a bunch of people. But I'm only spending time with them because I enjoy my time with them, right? So it's kind of like a two birds with one stone.
That's cool. How come you never take me out for drinks?
Well, you're never anywhere where I'm at.
You're never in Austin? Come on, brother.
I was just in Austin last week. That's the first time in I don't know how long.
I'm just messing with you. It's fine. I'm not a real estate agent. That's fine.
But you know a shit ton of them. See?
I know a few. Okay, so other things that you do to finding buyers.
I mean, then you have the activity that you do, right? It's just reaching out to past bidders of other auctions, reaching out to people I know in those markets. Like, I think one thing we do a terrible job of, people in general, is using things like Facebook and LinkedIn to find people. Like, there's smart search on LinkedIn. If we have a property in San Francisco, I could easily go in there and say, look at my first connections that live in San Francisco, list them all. And some of them I know them well, or some of them I know. I could say, hey, we've been connected on LinkedIn. I'm in town for this. Let's meet up or whatever,
Okay. So again, does every PSM know how to do what you just said?
Probably not.
Okay. Smart search on LinkedIn. What else?
Even Facebook or just social media in general, LinkedIn and social media outlets. And look for, there's a company, I'm just diving into it. There's a company called Relationship Science. And what they do, it's like who you know and who they know. And like it spreads out, right? And hey, it's kind of like what LinkedIn is supposed to be. Like, I look up John, if you and I aren't connected, but I can see all the people that you know and I know. And I could say, hey, Laura, can you introduce me to John? And then she introduces me. So it's a little bit.
I know this stuff sounds like no brainer, but it sounds like so second nature to you. But again, when we put it into a training manual, a playbook, I guarantee you there's going to be a PSM. It's like, I don't know why I never thought of that before.
Well, and not just that. I mean, to be honest with you, part of the reason to put it somewhere and have it easy is you forget. I forget, so I may naturally I may call my buddy in Fort Lauderdale, but maybe I never checked my LinkedIn in Fort Lauderdale. Never, so I didn't go further. I just went with the low hanging fruit, so to speak. I went with what's easy to do, and I forgot other tools, right? And we all do. And we get into a market. So I think it's good to memorialize every potential, everything you should do So that if there's a checklist for it or whatever, you could say, I've done this, 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 I've turned every stone. I'm the local market. So like, if I could say anything to me, is if every PSM went into their assignment and said, I am the local advertising, and I am absolutely gonna do everything within my power to make sure as many people know about this auction as possible. That's where all of these things come in.
Okay, right on. Okay. What are some of the other areas? So this is all finding buyer stuff, really good stuff. What other tactical headings would we talk about? Talked about setting up the game plan for an auction. Talked about uncovering business development opportunities when you're on assignment, finding buyers for the auctions. What else what other major areas, like chunked up areas, should we be talking about?
Agent relationships.
Okay.
That's a big one, in my opinion. That is the long game, right? Agent relationships is all about all of these, like agents that can bring me buyers, agents that can bring me sellers, or agents that don't know anything about us and I need to educate, or agents that absolutely hate us and I need to change their mind.
Okay, I'm making sure we get all of these here. Agents that bring buyers, agents that bring sellers, those that don't know us. I'm going to call what you just said, winning the hearts of those that hate us.
And then in between, it could also be the agents that introduce us to other agents, because they may not have a buyer, but they may be like, hey, so-and-so probably has a buyer for this, or so-and-so has a listing that they should probably consider auctioning.
Perfect. What else?
I think, I guess, I don't know if it's already been covered, but like an agent that also just educates you about the market, or an agent that educates you about things to do and places to go type thing too, you know. I don't know if all of this is covered with that, but
Well, like the one thing that stood out to me, like really, that you said a couple of weeks ago was, kind of like calling the agents that have similar price point listings and asking their opinion about the auction, because it pumps them up and kind of fluffs them a little bit and gives them a little bit of ego boost, right? That they're getting consulted as a professional, yet here's like this international auctioneer that wants a local agent's opinion. Yeah, of course we want a local agent's opinion. You got a lot to offer here.
yeah,
Right?
for sure. The other thing is, I don't know how to, because some agents I socialize more with, and some agents are more business. I don't know if that's differentiating the two. I used to joke around with the PSMs, and I used to say, look, when I come into town, the list of the agents that seem like they're sticks in the mud, like let's set up coffee meetings with them. And the ones that seem fun, let's have drinks with them. You know, so I don't know how to, you know what I mean, but
Here, I'll put it that way. Coffee or happy hour,
you
know the difference.
like that guy, Jeff, I just gave you the example of, like, you know, if I come into, I know that I can text him and his group of, you know, his little core group, and we're always going to meet up and we're going to have a good time. And maybe I'll meet somebody or maybe not. They'll ask me about our current auction always. And they promote it. They'll go to the open house for me. They'll put it on social media. They'll, you know, you have the agents that are more influencers now, especially some can be social media influencers for you. They can help spread the word even if they don't have a buyer.
That's good.
And
Okay,
then,
so
you
we
know,
need to talk about that. That's a good one. Like, how do you ask an agent to potentially put a post up about your auction?
yeah.
How do you do that, by the way?
A lot of times it's specific, like, depends on the relationship. But if I didn't have a relationship with someone, once I got them at the property, I would say, feel free to take pictures and, feel free to post about it. Maybe someone in your social media circles will have a buyer for you. I do offer, we do have a marketing studio where we could create a flyer for an agent that's branded with their logo. So a lot of times I'll say, hey, do you want a flyer for you to e-blast about this property? And a lot of agents that are
Do
newer.
all the PSMs know that?
Yeah.
Do they do it?
No, not well at all.
Okay.
There's also, and this is what I try to tell PSMs is that, okay, some of the bigger agents that have already succeeded, like, yeah, we want to call the top agents, but don't forget everybody else, because some of those other agents that are newer or not as established are hungrier. And so they'll be willing to do things like, like there's plenty of agents I know if I go to Miami, there's a few agents that I know will love to post stuff about my property. Now, it's never brought me a bidder or a buyer, but it's helping me promote it, and you never know, right? The more, 6 months from now, they may have a new connection that does have a buyer. Who knows? But I know that I can call so-and-so and so-and-so, so-and-so. They're going to be at the property. They're going to post it on social media. If I ask them to send out an email, they're going to do it.
Cool. It's a fantastic start. There's plenty of stuff to start writing on. We'll continue to dump the TOC. Then I think we should make some decisions about where we should start and just start writing content.
Okay.
Okay. You guys continue to play with this.
Do you need me to share with you anything that's already been written?
Why don't we dump the TOC and then cross-reference it with what's already there?
Yeah. What's TOC stand for?
What's that?
What's TOC stand for?
Table of contents.
Oh, got it.
Yep. Cool, man. All right. Well, I got to jump over with Sir Nick. However, that's good. And I'll get this recording. I'll have Clarence send it over to you and Phil.
Start thinking about, I want to have you come back on the PSM call sooner than later, and sometimes I think it's the same way I coach them to use a second voice. I think using you as a second voice to come on and talk about whether I've covered stuff or not, I think it's always good.
Let's get a date. It's almost Fridays, right?
Always on Fridays. It's always from, I think it's 1 o'clock your time.
Is it 12? I thought it was 12 o'clock my time. Is that right?
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're earlier than me, right? So yeah, 12 o'clock. You're 12 to 1.
12 to 1. Let's go ahead and book for Friday the 23rd, okay?
Okay.
Of April, obviously.
Okay.
You want to send me a calendar invite, please?
Yeah, I sure will.
My Fridays I typically reserve for group calls, so I want to go ahead and lock it down now, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, man.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thanks,
Talk to
man.
you soon, okay?
All righty. Bye-bye.